What is the spiritual meaning of husbands in dreams? Let's get right to it. The answer has nothing to do with your partner and everything to do with the most powerful, untapped part of yourself.
Okay, listen. She was 26 when she married Ted Hughes. Sylvia Plath. She walked into that marriage just like so many of us do. Heart first, eyes basically half closed, thinking that love, that was the answer to everything. I mean, this woman had a mind like a scalpel, a Pulitzer Prize literally waiting for her, and still, she couldn't see what was going on inside her own soul until it was almost too late.
So, of course, the marriage collapsed. Hughes left. And what happened? She wrote. But not just wrote, she wrote with this savage, desperate ferocity. She wrote about the men who haunted her, not just in her life, but in her dreams. The husband, the betrayer, the god, the wound. She wrote about something she felt she couldn't survive and absolutely could not let go of.
But here's the thing. That figure, that looming, powerful man in her work, it wasn't just Ted Hughes. No, it was something way deeper, something Carl Jung would have spotted in a second. It was her animus. And listen to me, whether you know it or not, it is yours too.
So, the herald in the dark, what does this mean for you? Look, that man in your dream, he is not some random character. He's a messenger, and you need to pay attention to what he's trying to tell you.
So ask yourself this, right now. When you dream of a husband, real, imagined, doesn't matter, what is he like? Is he loving? Or is he cold? Does he actually speak to you, or is he just silent? Where do you see him? Is it a crisis? A wedding? Is he in an empty house? Does he leave? And now for the one that matters most, the absolute most crucial question. How do you feel when you wake up? Because that feeling, it is not random. That feeling is the entire point. It's a dispatch from your soul, and we have to figure out who's sending it. All right, so Jung called this the animus. What is that? It's the masculine archetype living inside every woman's psyche. Let me be clear, this is not your actual husband or your father. It's the part of you that carries assertion, action, logic, your drive. So no, when this guy shows up in your dreams, it is not a relationship update. Your unconscious isn't gossiping about your love life. What it is a direct, urgent dispatch from the very core of your own soul. And this dispatch, this message, it's what the mythologist Joseph Campbell would call the start of the hero's journey. Specifically, it's the hero's refused call. I need you to get this, so let's be absolutely clear. This dream is never really about the man.
It's about the marriage you have either made or refused to make with your own power, with your own agency, with your own authority. That is the contract you're being forced to look at.
So think about how specific these messages are, right? A loving husband in your dream? That could mean you've got a healthy handle on your own assertiveness. A cheating husband? Maybe that means you're betraying your own goals. A dead husband? That part of you is probably dormant. And a total stranger? Well, maybe you haven't even been introduced to your own power yet. See? Each one is a very specific transmission. And Campbell was crystal clear about this. When the hero refuses the call, they don't just stay put, they stagnate, they wither. So when you refuse to look at what this dream is telling you, you're doing the exact same thing. And that brings us to the real cost of ignoring this call. Because this isn't just about feeling a little stuck, no, your wholeness is at stake. Let's go back to Plath for a second. Her dreams, they were filled with these images of domination, of being crushed, of this masculine force that was both creating her and destroying her. Her psyche was screaming one thing, over and over. You are incomplete. But here's the critical distinction. It wasn't screaming, you're incomplete because you need him. No. It was screaming because she had abandoned a fundamental part of herself. She'd outsourced her authority, her drive, her own fierce power.
So let's just land the plane here. What's at stake when you have this dream is not your romance. It's not your marriage. It is your own integration. It is your wholeness, period.
And this is not some soft, feel-good dream journaling exercise. This is not about writing it down in a pretty notebook and then moving on. This is life work. This is the hard, necessary labor of becoming a whole person.
Plath knew it. She fought this battle in her poetry, in her sleep. She just didn't have the tools to survive it. But you do.
This dream, it's the call. It's the summons. Answer it.
Part 2. All right, let's get straight to it. We're not just interpreting here. We're going to name what you're actually experiencing and what it demands of you. And that's the absolute key. The man in your dream is not your husband. He's a symbol. He's a direct reflection showing you point blank the state of your own inner authority, your will, your power. Let's get specific. These are the big ones, right? The dreams that jolt you awake, heart pounding in your throat. Good. That means your psyche is screaming to get your attention. So let's listen and let's decode the message. So you dreamed he was cheating? Look, this is not a crystal ball. It's a massive red flag pointing to a betrayal that's happening right now inside you. You are being unfaithful to yourself. So the prescription is direct. Sit down and identify 3 places in your life where you are performing instead of living, and then stop. Today. What about dreaming he leaves you? This isn't about abandonment. It's about your own assertive power pulling away because you haven't been honoring it. You've been too accommodating, too passive. So this week, say no to one thing you would normally say yes to out of fear or obligation. And when you say it, mean it. And then the one that really scares people, dreaming your husband dies. This isn't about tragedy. It's about transformation. An old, worn-out way of relating to your own will and strength must die so that something new and powerful can be born. The point here is to identify one old belief about what you're allowed to want or be and kill it with intention. Now, let's look at how your psyche doesn't just warn you, it actively invites you into your own power. These next dreams are all about your identity and your potential. You're dreaming of a husband who's a total stranger. This isn't a threat. It's the part of your own potential that you haven't met yet. You haven't claimed it. He's a stranger because you're a stranger to what you're capable of. So the prescription, write down one bold move you've been putting off, and then start it, because someday is not a day of the week. Dreaming of marrying your husband all over again? This is a renewal. It's your psyche saying, hey, let's recommit to a path, a purpose, a version of yourself. So you're gonna write a vow, not to him, but to yourself and your purpose, and then read it out loud. It's time to consciously re-choose your commitments, starting with the one to you. What about fighting with your husband in a dream? Think of this as your psyche's personal sparring ring. You are working something out. You are swallowing anger in your waking life, and it has to go somewhere. So what's the move? Identify the one conversation you are absolutely dreading, and have it this week. That friction is energy. Staying silent is costing you way more than you know. But not all dreams are gentle invitations. Some are blaring alarms. These are the dreams of wounds and warnings, and you absolutely need to wake up and listen. Dreaming of an ex-husband. You're probably wondering, why is he back? Let's be clear, he's not back. A pattern from that chapter of your life is back because it's unresolved. It's the lesson you never learned, the wound you just put a Band-Aid on. This is the prescription, and it's the only one that works. Ask yourself, what need was I trying to meet back then? And then you meet it yourself, now, without him. Stop outsourcing your needs and start meeting them yourself. Now, this one is a real danger zone. The warning dream, you're dreaming of a perfect husband who doesn't exist. The real danger here, becoming addicted to fantasy, starving your actual life. This is a huge signal that you're choosing the dream world over reality. Identify one way you're numbing out with fantasy and address your real life instead. This is what it means to dream of an abusive husband. Your own inner critic has become a tyrant. That abusive voice, it's yours. Your own self-talk has become brutal. I want you to track it. For the next 48 hours, just listen to how you talk to yourself, and then stop tolerating it. And dreaming of a deceased husband, I know this one can be unsettling, but listen to me. This is not a haunting. It is a healing transmission. Your psyche is working to complete something, to integrate, to release. Your unconscious doesn't care about death certificates, so allow the feeling. Write him a letter, say what was left unsaid, and then close the ritual. Let yourself heal. So, when you look at all of this, the betrayal, the stranger, the fight, the loss, every single variation points to one final, unshakable truth. He is a mirror. If he is cruel in the dream, it's because you are turning that cruelty inward. If he's absent, you're abandoning yourself. If he's weak, you're suppressing your own power. The dream is never about him. It is always, always about you and your relationship with your own unapologetic self. So the dream itself is not the message. Your response to the dream, that's the message. So what will you do now that you know? What action will you take? That is the only question that matters.
All right, let's be brutally clear here. We are so far past the point of just being curious. This is about what you do the second your eyes snap open. This is about action. No more excuses, no more "I'll do it tomorrow."
Because look, if all you're doing is sitting around thinking about what a dream means, you've done absolutely nothing. You've just watched a little movie in your head. It's just psychological entertainment. It doesn't change a single thing. So let's get into what actually does.
Okay, so if you're the type of person who lives in your head, you think and you overthink and you analyze everything until you're completely paralyzed, then listen up. Your first assignment is totally non-negotiable. This isn't a suggestion, it's a survival tool.
And your assignment, it starts tonight, not tomorrow night, tonight. You're going to put a notebook by your bed. The second you wake up, you grab it and you write. And I mean write it raw. No editing, no censoring, no making it pretty, just the pure, unfiltered emotion and the images. You're going to do this for 30 days straight.
Why? Because this is the absolute bare minimum level of engagement your psyche needs from you. It's the only way it's going to show you the patterns you're trapped in. You can't get whole if you're not paying attention. But hey, what if sitting still just isn't your thing? What if your language is movement?
Well, then you've got a number, and that number is 20. 20 minutes. That is your new ritual.
So after you have one of those really powerful dreams, you take a 20-minute walk, alone. No phone, no podcasts, zero distractions. And while you're walking, you're going to ask one question, and you're going to say it out loud. What part of myself did I see in that dream? Just let your body do the work your mind is stuck on.
And listen, this isn't some small, trivial thing. This is your entire life hitting a reset button on how it makes decisions. Okay, but what if the dream isn't just about you? What if you dreamed about your actual real-life husband?
You have to bring that dream into the room. But how you do it, that's everything. It is not an accusation. You don't storm in with, "I dreamed you cheated." That just starts a fire. No, it's an inquiry. "Hey, I had a dream about us, and I really want to understand what it might be trying to show me." You use the dream as a key to unlock a real conversation.
Because here's the cold, hard truth of it. Couples who learn how to talk on this level, the level of the unconscious, they make it. And the ones who don't, well, they often don't. But what if it's not about communication? What if your dreams are just dark, like truly controlling, abusive, or threatening?
You do not ignore those dreams. You don't dismiss them. This is a 5-alarm fire call for what Jung called shadow work. It's the essential repair kit for facing the parts of yourself you refuse to look at. Because here's the thing, what we don't face doesn't vanish. It just gets bigger, and it will come for you in your sleep, because that's the only place it has left to go.
And trust me, the urgency here is absolutely real. You don't get to escape this by just jumping to the next relationship. You take it with you. The work, the only work, is to stop the pattern, now. Not after this relationship ends, now.
Now, for the woman who feels this stuff on a deeper, spiritual level, this is your moment. It is time to stop dismissing your dreams as just, random brain garbage and start treating them like a sacred text, like your own personal myth. The real question is, are you ready to take your own inner life seriously?
Okay, so use Joseph Campbell's framework. Think of your dreams as chapters in your own hero's journey. So, who is this husband figure? What's his role in your story? What treasure or what gate is he guarding? And then you have to externalize it. Make some art, write a poem, paint something that's ugly and true. You have to consciously participate in the story your soul is desperately trying to tell you.
But maybe that's all a little too woo for you. Maybe you're the analytical one. You need data. You need proof. You need to see the cold, hard correlations before you'll believe any of it.
Fine, let's do it. Open up a spreadsheet. Seriously. In one column, you track the emotional tone of these husband dreams. In the next column, you write down the major life decisions you're wrestling with in the real world. You do this over time, and I guarantee you, you will start to see patterns that are simply impossible to ignore. This isn't magic. It's just learning how to read the output from your own incredible internal guidance system.
And finally, for the woman who is dreaming of a husband she's already lost, whether it's to divorce, to death, to some kind of betrayal. For the woman who is grieving. There is a rule here, and it is absolute. You do not get to skip the underworld. The descent is mandatory. You cannot, you will not get to the resurrection without first walking through the darkness.
So what does that mean in practical terms? It means you schedule your grief. You put it on the calendar. You set aside specific, contained time each week to just feel it all. You do it on purpose so your unconscious doesn't have to ambush you at 3 in the morning. Because grief that isn't honored, it becomes a ghost. It becomes a haunting. So honor it. The call has been made.
Look, you had this dream for a reason. It was not an accident. Something deep inside you is screaming for you to take action. And now you have both things you need. You have the vision from the dream, and you have the roadmap for what to do when you wake up.
So let's just stop wasting time, okay? The real issue here, the only question that matters, it's not what does the dream mean? Because if you're really honest with yourself deep down, you already know.
The only question left, the only one that counts, is this. What are you going to do about it?